Let's talk about the decade-long Republican plan to sabotage democracy. We talk about voter suppression often, and when we talk about it, we usually cover it at the micro level. So, like voter ID, voter purges, closed polling places, limiting voting hours. But voter suppression is just one part of the Republican plan to sabotage democracy. There's a really good documentary out called Rigged, the Voter Suppression Playbook. It's comprehensive. It shows you the insidious nature of this very well crafted plan that works against democracy on many levels. Laws preventing previously convicted felons from voting. That's a part of it. The stuff we've talked about over the last couple of weeks, months, and years, voter ID, limiting voting hours, all of that stuff, that's an element of it. Ending same day registration in as many places as they've been able to end it. That's a piece of it. But there are other less obvious elements. The fight against public transit, even though it can be said that it's for financial reasons or whatever else, it also makes it tougher for people to get to the polls when you have weak or non existent public transit. This all is happening in concert with giving the rich and corporations more power. Money is speech, unlimited campaign spending, allowing some types of campaign contributions to be made anonymous when you go through super PACs. What does this all do? It takes the power away from the commoners, from the poor people, from non-white people, whatever, however you want to slice and dice it, and it gives power to the right and to corporations, and they end up with more influence. And then on top of that, we've baked the cake with all these ingredients I mentioned. And then you put the cherry on top, which is gerrymandering, which we've talked about so extensively over the last few years. You've got to hand it to them. This is a hugely successful, to call it a decade long, it's longer than a decade at this point. This has been hugely successful. The depressed turnout, the people purged who didn't vote. We don't even know how many local and state elections could have turned out differently had we not seen these tactics and techniques work so effectively. And then, of course, there's the big ones that are the public legislative victories that have helped them. When you look at these, you realize it's probably been more like 20 or 30 years. You had Bush v. Gore in 2000. The Republicans successfully stopped a recount in Florida of the election there between Al Gore and George Bush, which potentially handed the entire election to George W. Bush. Citizens United in 2010. The Republican Party opened the floodgates to spending on campaigns by rich people and corporations in a way that was not possible before. 2013, Shelby County versus Holder. This is when the Republican Party successfully destroyed significant parts of the Voting Rights Act, and that has allowed even more voter suppression now. And then this year, you have judges, Republican judges in a variety of different states allowing gerrymandered election districts to be used. Now, you might say, wait a second, David. In some places, judges said you can't use these maps anymore. That's right. That is true. But in other places, these horribly biased gerrymandered maps were actually given the green light. And here is the most important takeaway from this. The Republican Party realizes that their policies are unpopular and they're not good for a lot of people. But instead of saying we should change the platform, they instead say, let's prevent minorities and poor people from voting. Okay, so what do? Step one, tomorrow, you got to vote. Vote anyway. Okay, everybody's got to vote, because when half the country doesn't vote, even with all of this stuff that they've done, everything I listed so far, if we can just increase turnout by 15%, it's over. I mean, these things will not matter if we can increase turnout by 15%. Number two, if Democrats win the House, we need to push them to actually run investigations into these efforts during the next 2 years. If we don't vote, we are giving up the fight before it even starts, because they want you not to vote. If you say, I'm so sick and tired of the status quo, I don't think they care what I want, I am not voting, you've just done what they want, effectively. And then one last thing on this. When the left points out that democracy is broken, the right loves this dumb talking point, which is the US is a constitutional republic. It's not a democracy. They use that to justify voter suppression, okay? The US is technically a representative republic. That's true. And it's supposed to have democratically elected governing bodies, the House and Senate, using different words, saying it's not a democracy at all. It's a republic. It doesn't eliminate the fact that you have a constitutional right to vote. Do not fall for it, okay? I want to hear from you about this. We cannot be tricked in this way. I'm on Twitter at dpakman. The show is on Twitter at David Pakman Show. Quick break. Back after this. Today's program is sponsored in part by fairindigo.com, who is giving everybody in our audience 15% off their first order only when you use the promo code PAKMAN at checkout. I talk all the time about how harmful the garment industry can be, both in terms of the environment and workers' rights, which is why I'm very excited to tell you about fairindigo.com, which is a clothing company focused not only on the extreme quality and longevity of their products, but also actually making sure that the people making the clothes actually get a fair and living wage, and that every step of the manufacturing process is eco-friendly. If you're watching on YouTube right now, I'm wearing the organic Pima cotton hoodie, which is extraordinarily comfortable. Fair Indigo's clothing is made from premium alpaca and ultra high quality organic Pima cotton, the softest and longest lasting cotton on earth. It's grown by small scale farmers without any pesticides, and all of the garments are manufactured at a mill that recycles 100% of its water, uses earth-friendly dyes, and everything is cut and sewn by experts at their Lima, Peru workshop, where all workers are actually paid fair wages. Go check out everything they have for both men and women, everything from short and long sleeve t-shirts, polos, sweaters, hoodies, to women's tops, dresses, and scarves. There's really something for everybody. And these are styles that don't get old, so it's clothing you'll want to wear for years with quality that ensures you'll actually be able to. Click the link under this video. Shipping is always free on orders over $75, and you'll save 15% when you use the promo code PAKMAN at checkout.